Hey everybody, this is Dan from Cerberus LiveScan. Welcome back to another edition of Solutions for the Firearm Industry. This is episode 6, and we're going to talk through the eForm for submittal on top of the eForms website. So if you joined us for the previous versions, we talked through how to get your SOT license, what it is, how to set up your FFL SOT account on eForms and get that all linked to your inventory. We talk about form types. We talk about Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4 primarily. And we also talk about the transferee types, trust, individual, corporation. And then the last one, episode 5, we talked about how to get your client registered for eForms. So now that's all taken care of. And now we have a can in inventory in our possession. We have sold it to the customer, and we need to go through the Form 4 process to put it in, to get it into them and transfer it to them. So we're going to get right into it. So I have here the eForms website. Again, it's eForms.atf.gov. Up on top, it's going to bring you to this blue screen. We talked last episode how to do the registration of a client through the eForm site, so I won't go into that, but we're going to log into it. Going to give us a warning disclaimer piece on here. We accept that, and then we log in. I use a program called Keeper to keep track of all my passwords. It is a lifesaver, both for security as well as simplicity. Does a alphabet soup type password piece, but that's how I store everything from a speed standpoint. That's Keeper Vault is the name. It's the same as LastPass, OnePass, etc. But that's what we use. This is going to be the main page on eForms. Once we get into it, you can see all the form types that we can do. Predominantly, if you're doing an FFL SOT work, you're going to be using a Form 4 or a Form 3. We'll talk, and I talked through those pieces before, but the 3 is the transfer, and the 4 transfer to other dealer or SOT, and the Form 4 is the transfer to a non-licensee. So I'm just going to click on that. This is going to open up disclaimer type pieces. I navigate up on the blue line. If you click on any one of these are known as train stops. I navigate up here on these from a speed standpoint, but you'd read through these for the first time. I'm going to go to the transfer, or once you have your account set up and linked in the profile tab, and I talk about that in episode 2, you can select your license. Alternate address is going to be 99% of the time blank unless you're doing some complex warehousing or alternate location pieces. So you can usually skip that, and I can go right to transfer E. Here we have to make some choices. We talk about in one of the previous episodes the type of transferees you can have. Right now, the bulk of what you're going to do is probably an individual because the speed is coming back very quickly. As of June 20th is when I'm recording this. The transferee individual returns can be as fast as 2-3 days. That's about 70% of your applicants will get those back if they are an instant NICS check type person, i.e., they buy a rifle from you or a long gun, and you can put a NICS check in and it comes back momentarily. They are an instant return. They will most likely, no promises, they are most likely going to get their Form 4 back in a couple days. There is no Brady bill associated with an NFA item. The FBI does not have to respond in a time frame back to the ATF or back to the FFL that submits the NICS check for an NFA item. For type 1 firearms, they have 5 days to respond and adjudicate that NICS check. For an NFA item, there is no timeline, so it can stay open. And the ATF will not proceed or process that stamp, that Form 4, until they have a definitive action from the ATF, a proceed or a deny. So there is no timeline to this. It's when the FBI gets to it and when the FBI answers the question of what's going on. So I'm going to do a trust. It's the most complex one, and I'll walk you through it. So we would put in NFA trust name. Oh, I can't type today. Trust name. Address is going to be 123 Main Street. Zip code 531. I think this is what I want. 16. Select the city. No. 53126 is the one I wanted to show you. So if you notice, this is red. Got to fix it. And there's 2 different cities here that we can grab from. So we have to make sure that this zip code applies to 2 different city names. We have to make sure that the city name that we have matches what the customer has put into their eForms profile so that it ties out and matches at the end at validation. So I'm going to pick Mount Pleasant for discussion's sake, and then I'm going to put the email in John Smith at Gmail. Okay. And again, this email, everything on here has to match out to their profile when we get there. So we're done with this. I can either go up on top to the responsible person, or I can go next on the bottom here. I navigate on the blue lines. For a trust, this responsible person piece will start off blank. For an individual, it will pre-populate through from what you put in the transferee train stop. So either way, I would hit, well, on a trust, I'm hit add responsible person. On an individual, there will be an edit on the right-hand side, edit action that you have to do to open up this next box. So this is going to open up the responsible person piece, and I'm just going to work down the form. Cadency is going to be, I'm going to leave it blank. Title is going to be what the title is of that trustee or settler. Typically, it's trustee is acceptable. And then I'm going to do John Smith. Pick a middle name, full middle name. Smith email is going to be John Smith. I was doing at gmail.com. Okay. Now I have to browse and upload some documents. The 5320.23 is the responsible person questionnaire. So I can get that from, go to Google, fire it up, National Firearms Act, Responsible Person Questionnaire, 5320.23. It'll take you to the ATF website. There is a link for the PDF. If I click on that, it's going to open up the form, and then this needs to be filled out. There is one RPQ, and these are known as RPQs. The RPQ, you need one RPQ per responsible person or active trustee per firearm serial number. So if you have two trustees and they're buying two serial numbers, you will eventually have to create 4 of these forms. One for each trustee per serial number all the way through. And these are serialized boxes. Box 4 or checkbox area 4 has the firearm data into it that you need to fill out and put this in. There are some programs that help fill this out for you. Cerberus LiveScan is a very good one to look into. NFA Tools also has it, but you can also simply download this and fill it out manually. And then your client would answer the questions. And it's the same questions that effectively are on the 4473 of are they a prohibited person, felony, misdemeanors, domestics, etc. Those type things. And then they would sign it and date it. And that's the form that the eForms is looking for you to load up. So I have from Cerberus, I have some pieces here loaded already, and let me navigate. So Cerberus made this RPQ for me. I'll talk how that works through a different episode, but for argument's sake, this is the RPQ. I'm going to open that and upload it. Waiting for this to upload, and then I'm going to grab the photo. I grab this photo out of Cerberus. How you take the photo really doesn't matter. If you use your cell phone, you use a webcam. It's supposed to be cropped down to a 2x2 proportion, and then the passport style setup, as in headshot only, a little bit of shoulders, and no glasses, no hat, no shadows or hooded sweatshirts that make it look like a mullet, and a neutral background. So a gray, a white, a beige, a light blue, just not cluttered with, per se, a gun wall is not recommended. Electronic fingerprints. If you have the method to make an EFT, electronic fingerprint transmittal file from a program such as Cerberus LiveScan, you would upload your files here. If you do not have a method to make EFTs, or the customer does not have an EFT, you simply leave this blank, and then you'd have to mail in the hard cards at the backside of the application. eForms will send you a submission confirmation email to the FFL, and then attached to that email is a cover letter that you'd print that out. It's got a barcode and transaction numbers on it, and then you would submit the hard cards that way for you. But I have EFTs, so I'm going to put these in. And simply navigate to it, open it up, and then you're looking for this information on the EFT, name, date of birth, and a valid EBTS package. Social, it's not required, recommended to help speed things up through NICS, but it's not required. If they don't want to give you a social, you can leave it blank. Zip code 53126. Again, I got to select that city. Mount Pleasant, what I did. Street address 123 Main Street. Date of birth, I'm just going to do 0101-2000. Country, United States. Drop down. State of birth, I'll do Wisconsin. Go Packers. Residence, Wisconsin, go Packers. And sex, male. Oops, sorry. Male. God dang it. ethnicity, not Hispanic, race, white. And then because I'm not a foreign born, the AR number is grayed out or browned out. It's locked. You can't do it. And then if they have a UPIN, unique personal identification number, effectively if they got denied or a delay on a NICS check, they can submit some information to get their unique personal identifier to help speed things up for NICS. Then I review it, make sure that everything here is accurate, and my chance here to make any corrections. So I'm going to close this. So that from here, now it's in, there is no red, there is no errors on it. And then, as I mentioned, this is a trust one, so I could add another responsible person if there were more active trustees. Each active trustee or co-trustee, you have to list and do that same process for every one of them here. On the individual, or if I need to edit it, I can click on this edit line on the far right-hand side. It'll open up that pop-up again, and I can make any corrections or revisions to it. To note, if it was a individual submit, part of this data would be pre-populated, and you'd have to click on this edit line over here to open that pop-up if it was an individual. But because I'm doing a trust, the add responsible button is active, and I can add more responsible persons. Okay, moving on. Clio. So I would do agency. So I usually sheriff's office. They're easier to work with. Plus, my state patrol told me not to send them the notifications. So John Q. Law, sheriff, address 123 Main, zip code 539. Let's do that again. Wisconsin, select the city. And again, because it's multiples, I'll show you how it works the other way. If it's a single zip code, single city, then it'll automatically just grab the right city for you. So that's going to work that way. So next we grab our firearm. You click add firearm on here, and that's what we would pop up. And you'd pick the one firearm that you want to put in here. So I'm going to grab one. So I'm going to grab one. I grabbed a Mercy Firearms, shameless plug. It's one of the lines that we carry. It is a 2-ounce 22 can 3D printed, really slick. You should take a look at it. If you have any questions, give us a call on it. But we picked that from our list. Again, a Form 4 is only good for one item only. So if you sell your customer 3 or 4 cans or 3 or 4 SBRs, whatever, you have to do 3 or 4 applications. So it's one serial number per Form 4. That's how it's set up. Moving on. So I have my firearm selected now. Electronic documents. This is where we would upload the trust. So I'm going to browse for that trust. That trust here. So Cerberus will put that file into that folder. However, you can get that PDF into your system, whether it's through your camera, your phone, scanner, piece of hardware you have, whatever. It doesn't matter. It needs to be a PDF, and it needs to be less than 3 megabytes. So the screen here says differently, but ATF, I don't believe is truthful. We always see them lock up if they're larger than 3 megabytes, it may go if you got high-speed internet. Over 5, almost always it'll lock up and spin. So anyway, pick our trust, the full trust that's signed. We're going to pick that second item here called Corporation Trust Other, and then I'm just going to call it Trust. And then I'm going to add that document to the application. Again, if you're doing individual, skip this step completely. There's rarely something you would put in here. So you skip electronic documents on individual, but on a trust, this is where we put the trust document. From here, I go to verify, and this would be the information that I need to verify. I ask the customer to, too fast. This is the FFL section. There's nothing to change there. I ask the customer to look at the responsible person. On a trust with multiples, it's only going to show the first trustee. So make sure that information is correct. But I ask them to review this data with me as I go down, making sure that it's accurate. If it's not accurate, go back and fix it. Clio, self-explanatory, and then firearm data. So one thing you want to do, I double click on this and copy the serial number. And what I do is I put it in this internal control number and I paste it here. You only get so many spaces. If you notice that locked out after that, so I'm just going to change this to serial. So I'm going to do serial number and last name on there. Doesn't matter what it is. It's really for your internal organization, but that will show up on every application or every piece of information that comes from the ATF and all the correspondence that goes with it. As opposed to this nondescript eForms ID number in the upper right. So this means something to me This 57 number doesn't mean anything to me in the upper right. So it's shop policy, it's your internal procedures. It could just be serial number, it could be a brand or a model, it could be a last name, a first name, doesn't matter to me. But you cannot, again, cannot edit it after you submit the form for it. So this is where you want to make sure you get that in there. Client checks, you check, and then automatically going to pick what it is, $5 for an AOW, $200 for anything else. And then we go to a pay window. So we click pay, it's going to open up a tab, and then it's going to, you put the cardholder data in here. Two things that one thing I recommend that the shop pays for the stamp. You would check them out at POS from a speed transaction. If you're doing this manually outside of Cerberus, you probably have this already saved and the credit card data saved from previous transactions. So you just one click and push it in. Otherwise, the customer can key punch all of their data in here and put it in. So I recommend it for a couple reasons. One is speed, and then it'll speed up the overall transaction piece of this. And then the other side of it, if there is an error or a withdrawal or denial, the refund will come back to your card as opposed to having the customer come back and repay and wait for that refund. So just from a customer service standpoint, I strongly recommend that the shop pays for it and then you charge them at POS and when you check them out for the process. So the customer's going to fill, or you're going to make payment on this piece, whether the shop pays for it or customer pays for it. And then it's going to take you back to the main site. This is going to say fail because I went out of it. But what should happen is you'll get a receipt transaction code that pops up in the middle here that has a couple pieces of information. And at the same time, you and your customer will both get an email saying that payment has been made. Once payment's made, then the sign and submit piece is going to open up. It's going to open up a pop-up box that has two text boxes to it. One, the top, that is for your customer's data. So it's looking for the customer's eForm profile that we maybe helped them make a little bit ago. Look at episode 5 if you need to figure that part out. But you need a customer's eForm profile, and then the customer needs to put their PIN in. Then, if that is successful, it will go to a single box, and that single box is the FFL's eForms PIN. Put that in, and then it's going to spin for a second, and it's going to say form number, blah, 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 has been transacted and submitted. Once that happens, you're going to get an email, and it's going to look something like this. This is from one that I did as a Form 1, and it's going to have two documents. It's going to say eForms application submission and a permit number, and then it's going to come from eForms.notifications.atf.gov. Whitelist that one or give it as a contact or make sure it doesn't go to spam. That you want. Okay. And then this is a Form 1, just the same thing, same deal. It's going to have the form on it and it's going to have a cover letter. Get in the habit of opening that cover letter. And if you did EFTs or digital fingerprints, you want to make sure that this says received code on it. That is your confirmation that the EFT was accepted, it was uploaded and accepted. If it is blank, this receive code is not here, then you need to print this form out or this cover letter out and submit 2 hard cards with the application. And that's this whole part about 10 days, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to make sure you double check all of these once you submit them. If you don't have an EFT, or a method to make an EFT, then first of all, call us and we can talk you through it on Cerberus LiveScan. But if you're not ready for that or you're not there, then you look at this. You can submit the form without digital fingerprints. Look for this cover letter at the end of your submission. Print this out. This will be blank. This receive code here will not be there. And then that's what you have to mail into the ATF with 2 hard cards to get married up and merged with the application. All right, so that was the manual process. Whether you're copying and pasting it in from something that you have, whether you're typing it in off the client's driver's license, that's the manual process and how to work through eForms. With talking, it took about 15 minutes. You can probably get it down less than that. But I'm going to show you how to do it, how we do it now with Cerberus. So I harvest and collect my customer, scan the driver's license, do their prints, all that stuff inside of Cerberus LiveScan. I'm going to click on their name once I have them stored, and I'm going to click on this eForm autofiller. That's going to open up this guy right here. And if you notice, there's buttons on the bottom. So I'm going to click the blue login screen. Let this open. I'm going to click login because I've stored my credentials inside of Cerberus. I'm going to go to Form 4. I'm going to go to transferee, pick my FFL. I'm going to skip the alternate. I'm going to do a trust. I'm going to select trust down here on the bottom. And I'm going to do transferee trust, and it's going to fill it out. Zip code, I still have some test data because I wasn't paying attention before I did this. I'm going to go to next. I'm going to do responsible person, and I'm going to do RP trust, and it's going to fill all this in for me. Here, then I review it. City, I got to select the city because the city did pop through. So I'm going to pick Mount Pleasant again, and I'm going to browse for my file. Browse for my file. I'm going to grab that RP that I made in Cerberus. So the PQ I made in Cerberus. I'm going to grab my photo. I'm going to grab my EFT. Go down. I'm going to review this for anything that was missing or bad data. Save and close. I'm going to go to Clio. Click the Clio button down here. Fill that out. I'm going to grab my city. I'm going to grab my firearm. Firearm, this time it's the Atlas Defense Copus, another fine product that we carry. Happy to help and talk about that if you need some of those. Electronic documents, because I'm doing a trust, I'm going to grab that trust that I already have saved in my client folders, all organized, easy to find. I grab corporation trust. I'm going to do trust as the, I can spell today, as a description. I'm going to put that trust in. Then I go to verification. Same deal, grab that serial number. I click, customer clicks, serial number, last name. Again, internal control number, very important to help organize the pieces. And then from here, click on pay. I have shop data stored in the card. I can click on this button and it's going to blow in all the data for me and then submit, verify, pay. So what took me 15 some minutes via manual, I'm sure you can do it faster if you copy and paste, is going to take you about 3 minutes with Cerberus as the autofill data. And also, as I showed or demonstrated, you can edit the data as you go, so it doesn't lock up and freeze, and you don't have to call customer service like some other company. So, with that, that is how you submit a Form 4, whether it is manually directly through eForms or it's with our tool, Cerberus LiveScan. Either way works, but that's how we go through the process of the completed Form 4. So with that, if you found value in what I've been presenting on this series, like and share our podcast. You can find it here, Solutions for the Firearm Industry by Cerberus Software Solutions. Trying to do weekly podcast of all the things that are going on in the industry. This first part has been very heavy on SOT type pieces, but if you like it, you can share it. We also have it up on YouTube, both the audio and I've just put the videos up as well. What's going on? If you want more information, our website is Peterson Farms USA. Our two flagship products is Cerberus LiveScan, which I demonstrated a little bit here on the eForm autofiller. This has the ability to do customer kind of data, EFTs, photos, RPQs, as well as some trust generation with our partnership with 199 Trust. And then Merlin is our distribution warehouse search tool. Right now we have 12 different distributors that we can pull data from, and you can order from 8 of them. So, and this is the list, if you're on the video, this is the list that and the status of each one of the distributors that we're working with. And we have some other ones that are in dev as well. So with that, thank you for your time. Appreciate that you joined us. Hope you find value in what we're doing. Send us a comment or questions or something you want to see on future podcasts. Happy to take a look at that. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining us and look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you.